Hi Fluffers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lungile Nkosi, also known as the Pillow Fluffer. I would like to begin this video by just thanking all my subscribers, new followers, both on Twitter and Instagram. The response has been so overwhelming and I'm really grateful for you all, and I hope I can live up to your expectations of this channel. Today we will be getting into my journey in interior designing / decorating, and hopefully that can give you some sort of guidance into the career and whether you want to do interior designing or decorating or really both. So let's get into it. I hope you have a cup of tea. So my journey in interior designing began 10 years ago when I started my first year in design school at Greenside Design Center, and that's in Greenside, Johannesburg, South Africa. And my first year went relatively well. It was lots of hard work. They offered a 3-year degree. Unfortunately, I was unable to continue with my degree due to finances, which I think most of you or most people can relate to, really, especially in South Africa. So the year that was supposed to be my second year, since I was unable to complete, I was there thinking, oh, what do I do now? And because I was so passionate about, and still am very passionate about, interior designing and decorating, I found myself extremely stuck and not knowing what to do. Luckily, an uncle of mine had a friend who knew an architect, and I was able to shadow her and became her PA for about 2 years. And in that 2 years of shadowing her, it sparked an interest in architecture, which was quite interesting, and I decided to do a short course in architectural drafting, which I did at Inkscape. What I really enjoyed about it is that it gave me more information into the built environment, and I learned how to draw, so lots of technical drawing was done there. I learned and understood the built environment a lot more, types of bricks that you use, to the kind of mortar that you use, plumbing plans, all that kind of stuff. So we learned a lot of that in 6 months. And from there, I worked at a place called Le Mille Son in Parkhurst, and it was a retail store, a small retail store which took product design from different designers around South Africa and sold it. So there was a lot of local stuff, but a lot of also very quirky stuff. To see a different side of designing, that was really awesome for me. One of my employers was an architect, and one day I had a discussion with him and I was like, oh, I really want to get into architecture. And he was like, architecture is great, but you should just go back into interior design. He gave me advice about the different careers and basically just told me to go with my heart. After the conversation with him, I decided I really wanted to go back to school, which required me to stop working and go back to school full-time, because both interior designing and architecture require full-time attendance. And I got into interior design, which was a 3-year diploma and a 4-year degree course, which they've now changed to a 3-year degree. So I did 2 years there, and I had to leave because I felt, look, as a black female designer, I did feel like the odds were stacking up against me, and I had to move on. It was taking away from my passion, and I just wasn't in love with what I was doing anymore. So after leaving the varsity that I was in, I was unemployed and out of school for about 6 months, which was terrible for my self-esteem. It was just terrible. Until one day, an aunt of mine sent an email to the family, and in that email, she basically said that a friend of hers who works for Owl Decoration was looking for an assistant, a marketing assistant. Now, I obviously knew nothing when it came to marketing, but what stuck out for me was Our magazine. I got the job and became her assistant. She wasn't the best boss on the planet. In fact, on a lot of occasions, I did want to leave. It was quite discouraging. It wasn't a great atmosphere, but like my mom always says to me, you need to keep your eye on the North Star. And I was persistent because I knew what the end goal was, and the end goal was to get into our decoration. 6 months down the line, when I am at my wit's end, Indalo acquires Our Magazine, which was both the titles, the normal Our Magazine and the Our Decoration. And this for me was a chance to really get what I wanted. So what happened was we all had to go for interviews. And I went into an interview with an amazing lady who was a business manager for Indalo Media. And she said to me, well, you're being interviewed for the marketing assistant role, but we already have a marketing assistant. And why do you think we should choose you? This for me was my opportunity to pull out my portfolio, which is what I did. And I told her, listen, I don't want to be in marketing. That's not where my passion is. I am passionate in interior designing and decorating, and this is why you should consider having me part of the Our Decoration group. And I presented it to her and left. To be honest, I wasn't really sure if I was going to get the position because there wasn't really a position to get, but I was so happy that I was true to myself and what I wanted, and I literally went for what I wanted. And about a few days later, I got the call that I was hired, and they created a whole new role for me, which was really, really amazing. So worked with Indalo for a few months, I'm not too sure how long it was, and it was spectacular. The people I met, the places I got to see, the shoots I got to style, different designers I got to meet. It was amazing. And I also got to write my first article in the Our Decoration magazine, which was really great. So after Indalo Media, I decided to freelance, and I gave myself 2 months to get into freelancing, and if it didn't work, then go job hunting. And in about maybe 3 weeks, ended up getting a freelancing gig to write for SA Homeowner. And from there, things got progressively better. I got so many freelancing gigs, as well as working for another interior design company for about a year, and now we're here as a company ourselves, very small, but still trying to grow. So that is my journey in a nutshell. So now we get into the difference between interior designing and interior decorating. So there is a difference, and it's important that you know the difference, just so that you know what kind of careers you can go into. Also, if you're just someone who likes to know things, it's important to just know that what interior designers do and what interior decorators do. So an interior designer, you have to be qualified to be an interior designer, which means that you have to go through, it depends on which university or which college you go to, but it's 3 to 4 years of full-time training. And that training includes everything from the history of design to technical drawings to understanding floor plans, ceiling plans, electrical plans, plumbing plans, and knowing the safety around an actual building. So it is very intense. There's a lot of precision that goes into it. I remember one time when I was in my second year, we had to do models. So model building, we're doing some model building, and my model looked great. I mean, even when I walked into class, everyone was like, oh wow, what a great model. And I thought it looked great. And I ended up failing it because the chairs weren't to scale. And that's the importance of precision when you do interior designing. It is a really great course. There's so many things that you can get into. You can get into careers like interior designing for residential or commercial, which is really, really cool. And that's usually just designing the interior of the space, how the space flows. Ergonomics is quite important there. There's a lot of interior designers that go into furniture designing. Then there is interior decorating. Interior decorating, you work with the soft finishes. So it's a lot of understanding color and the psychology behind color. It's basically doing the finishing touches. here's where your feng shui comes in. And yeah, it's just about making a space look beautiful and habitable for the people that use the space. So let's take a renovation, for example. In a renovation, you would have a structure. We'll speak about a house. You'll have a house that's already built, finished and completed, great, which is done with an architect and an interior designer for the most part. Most of the older houses are just done by architects because an architect can do interior designing, just like an interior designer can do interior decorating. So in a house, you would call in an interior designer for your renovation and they would do a consultation. So if you want to break down a wall, they can break down a wall and build other walls or draw up a plan to build up other walls. Obviously, they would contract people to do that, but they can design the layout of the house, the interior of the house, which includes where your walls will be, where your cupboards will be, what kind of floor finish you will have, whether you're moving mirrors or windows or adding windows. Yeah, and that's what an interior designer would do. So what an interior decorator does then, an interior decorator does not do any constructional work. So only interior designers do the constructional work. For instance, a bedroom would come in and tell you what kind of headboard you should put in, what kind of side tables, your artwork, the curtains, the linens, the carpeting, what color to paint your wall. So a lot of the soft finishes. But not to say that if you are an interior decorator, you cannot try and venture into interior designing. I know a lot of interior decorators who do interior design work, but you have to have a qualified architect assisting you and just qualified construction workers and engineers on the side for them to do any construction work. So it's possible for you to do it. I myself work with a lot of qualified contractors. If required, then I'll work with an architect as well. So basically what I'm trying to say really is the sky is the limit. You can do whatever you set your mind to. Just make sure to be very honest about what your qualifications are, because there's a lot of things that are underestimated that interior designers do, like just knowing building regulations. And as much as you can read up about it, which is great, and I really encourage you to read the building regulations just so that you know, it is important for you to understand that you cannot call yourself an interior designer unless you have the qualification for it. First and foremost, once you have your qualification, you need to register with the IID. And what the IID Professionals is, it is almost like a directory for interior designers, interior architects, and interior decorators. And it's only for qualified. So you register your business or you register your services there, and it just makes it easier for people to find you. It makes you more commendable and it regulates the profession. So that would be the first thing that you should do. Secondly, many people are under the impression that interior decorating is limited to just the house or office spaces, but it's not. There's so many other fields that you can get into. As an interior decorator, and this is from my experience, you would have to do your own research. You can get into styling for events, for magazines and shoots, which is a lot of what I did. You can write. If you're a good writer, you can write as well. You can blog, you can do exhibitions, you can do store styling as well as home styling. All in all, and most importantly, sometimes the journey is really hard and really long, but what is important is stay true to what you believe you can do. So stay passionate, stay inspired, and keep on pushing. If you believe that there's nothing else in the world that is meant for you but this particular thing, then you need to keep on pushing. And there'll be a lot of no's, there'll be a lot of doors that are closed, but every every experience is just redirecting you to where you need to be eventually. So yeah, thank you for joining me. If you have any other questions about interior designing or decorating, please feel free to ask me in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends and family, and I will see you soon.